The 2003 P. Roosevelt dime is a modern U.S. 10-cent coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint, identified by the P. Mint mark located to the right of President Franklin D. Roosevelt's neck. It is made of a copper-nickel-clad composition with a core of pure copper and outer layers of copper-nickel, weighing 2.27 grams and measuring 17.91 millimeters in diameter. The obverse of the coin features a portrait of President Roosevelt, designed by John R. Sinek, who originally created the design in 1946 following Roosevelt's death and his contribution to the March of Dimes campaign against polio. The reverse side shows a torch symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch for peace and an oak branch for strength and independence. The 2003 P dime was minted in large quantities, with over 1.1 billion pieces produced, making it very common in circulation and not rare in any way. In terms of value, a 2003 P Roosevelt dime in fine condition, which means it has moderate wear but all major details are visible, holds only face value of 10 cents due to its high mintage and lack of silver content. However, in uncirculated or mint condition, particularly MS-65 or higher, it may fetch around $1 to $2 among collectors, especially if it's part of a complete modern dime set, or if it exhibits exceptional strike quality or eye appeal. Any premium value would come only if the coin displays a rare error, such as off-center strikes, double dies, or missing clad layers, which are rare but possible. Without such an error or high mint state grade, the 2003 P dime remains a modern coin, primarily of interest for everyday use or collecting as part of a complete Roosevelt dime series. Next up, the 2005 P Roosevelt dime is a 10-cent coin minted by the United States Mint at the Philadelphia facility, identified by the P Mint mark. It features the familiar design of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse, a tribute that began in 1946, the year following his death. The obverse was designed by John R. Sinek, the chief engraver of the U.S. Mint at the time. The reverse side features a torch flanked by an olive branch on the left and an oak branch on the right, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength, respectively. The composition of the 2005 P Roosevelt dime is a clad combination of outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. The coin weighs 2.27 grams and has a diameter of 17.91 millimeters with a reeded edge. In 2005, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 1.4 billion of these dimes, making them very common in circulation. Despite the large mintage, coins in extra fine condition show only light wear on the highest points of the design and retain most of their original detail and luster. In this grade, the Roosevelt dime from 2005 typically holds only a small premium over face value, often valued between 10 cents and 25 cents by collectors, depending on eye appeal and market demand. These coins are not considered rare, and only in uncirculated or high mint state grades, such as MS-66 or higher, especially with full bands designation, do they become more desirable to collectors. While the 2005 P dime is not historically significant in itself, it is part of the broader Roosevelt dime series, which holds importance due to its long-standing design and its role in commemorating a president who played a crucial part in American history during the Great Depression and World War II. The Roosevelt dime remains in production today, and its continuity serves as a lasting tribute to Roosevelt's legacy. For most collectors, a 2005 P Roosevelt dime in extra fine condition is valued more for its completeness within a date and mint mark set than for its intrinsic rarity or monetary worth. The 1965 Roosevelt dime holds a special place in U.S. coinage history, as it marked a major transition from silver to clad coinage. Prior to 1965, Roosevelt dimes were composed of 90% silver and 10% copper. However, due to rising silver prices and a national coin shortage in the early 1960s, the U.S. Mint made the decision to remove silver from circulating dimes. Starting in 1965, Roosevelt dimes were struck using a copper-nickel clad composition, consisting of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This shift was not only economical, but also a pivotal moment in modern American numismatics. The 1965 dime was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, but unlike earlier issues, it does not carry a mint mark. This was intentional. From 1965 through 1967, the U.S. Mint removed mint marks from all coins in order to discourage coin collecting during the national coin shortage. As a result, even though all 1965 Roosevelt dimes were struck in Philadelphia, there's no P or any other mint mark on them. Over 1.65 billion of these dimes were minted, making it one of the most common dimes ever produced. This large mintage means that, under normal circumstances, circulated 1965 dimes are worth only face value, 10 cents. However, uncirculated or high-grade examples of the 1965 Roosevelt dime can command higher prices, especially those that grade MS 66 or above. In mint condition, particularly with full bands on the torch on the reverse, a sign of a strong strike, values can range from a few dollars to over $100, depending on eye appeal and rarity in that grade. Collectors seek out full torch or full band dimes as a sign of quality. The highest known grade for a 1965 Roosevelt dime is MS 68, and examples in this grade can fetch several $100s at auction, particularly if certified by reputable grading companies like PCGS or NGC. There are also a few special varieties and errors associated with the 1965 Roosevelt dime. One of the most famous is the rare 1965 Roosevelt dime struck on a silver plancher. These are transitional errors caused when leftover silver blanks from 1964 were accidentally used in 1965. These error dimes contain 90% silver and weigh about 2.5 grams, compared to the standard 2.27 grams of a clad dime. A simple weight test using a precise scale can often help identify one. These silver 1965 dimes are highly valuable, often selling for thousands of dollars depending on condition. Another notable error is the off-center strike, which is collectible but less rare, and prices vary depending on the degree of the off-center and whether the date is still visible. Next up, the 1992 D. Roosevelt dime is a modern U.S. coin struck at the Denver Mint and is part of the long-running Roosevelt dime series that began in 1946. This series honors President Franklin D. Roosevelt, whose leadership during the Great Depression and World War II, along with his role in founding the March of Dimes to combat polio, made him a national figure deserving of this tribute. The obverse of the coin features a left-facing portrait of Roosevelt, designed by John R. Sinek, with the inscriptions, "Liberty, in God we trust," the date 1992, and the mint mark D to the right of the neck, identifying the Denver Mint. The reverse of the coin features a torch in the center flanked by an olive branch on the left and an oak branch on the right, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength, respectively, along with the inscriptions United States of America, E Pluribus Unum, and One Dime. By 1992, Roosevelt dimes had long been struck using a copper-nickel clad composition. This change was implemented in 1965 due to the rising cost of silver. As such, the 1992 D. Roosevelt dime contains an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core, and weighs 2.27 grams. It has a diameter of 17.91 millimeters and a reeded edge. The Denver Mint produced a total of 546,810,000 Roosevelt dimes in 1992, making the 1992 D issue very common in circulation. Because of its high mintage and modern status, circulated examples of the 1992 D dime are typically worth only face value, 10 cents. However, for collectors, condition matters greatly. Uncirculated examples or those in mint state can be worth more. Coins graded MS-65 to MS-67 typically sell for a few dollars, while those graded MS-68, or with full bands, FB, a designation that indicates strong strike quality on the reverse torch, can command higher prices. A 1992 D Roosevelt dime graded MS-68 with full bands can be worth anywhere from $75 to over $200, though such high-grade coins are rare and must be certified by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC to reach these values. The full bands designation is particularly desirable to collectors because it shows that the coin was well struck, with distinct horizontal lines across the torch's bands, which is uncommon on many dimes due to weak strikes. Next up, the 1983 D Roosevelt dime is a modern U.S. coin that was minted at the Denver Mint and forms part of the Roosevelt dime series, which began in 1946. The series was created to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who led the United States through the Great Depression and most of World War II. Roosevelt was also a central figure in the fight against polio, having founded the March of Dimes campaign, an effort that ultimately led to the choice of his image on the dime. The coin's obverse, designed by John R. Sinek, features a left-facing portrait of Roosevelt, along with the inscriptions "Liberty," "In God We Trust," the date 1983, and the mint mark D, which indicates that it was struck at the Denver Mint. The reverse of the coin carries a torch symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch on the left and an oak branch on the right, representing peace and strength. Surrounding these symbols are the inscriptions United States of America, A Pluribus Unum, and One Dime. The 1983 D Roosevelt dime is made of a copper nickel-clad composition, which had been standard since 1965. This composition consists of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. The coin weighs 2.27 grams, has a diameter of 17.91 millimeters, and a reeded edge. It is not a silver coin and contains no precious metals. In 1983, the Denver Mint struck approximately 536,420,000 Roosevelt dimes, making the coin widely available and common in circulation. Because of this high mintage, circulated examples typically carry no premium and are worth face value, 10 cents. Despite its overall abundance, 1983-D Roosevelt dimes can be worth more in higher grades, especially for collectors focused on condition. In uncirculated mint state condition, the coin becomes more desirable. Mint state coins graded MS-65 to MS-67 are relatively accessible and usually sell for around $2 to $10, depending on quality. However, coins that grade MS-68 or better, especially those with the full bands, FB designation, can command significantly higher prices. The full bands designation refers to sharply defined and fully separated horizontal bands on the torch on the reverse, which indicates a strong and detailed strike. While rare, an MS-68 full bands 1983-D Roosevelt dime can be worth $200 or more at auction, depending on demand and population reports from grading companies like PCGS or NGC. Next up, the 1978-D Roosevelt dime is a copper nickel-clad coin struck at the Denver Mint and is part of the long-running Roosevelt dime series, which began in 1946. The series honors President Franklin D. Roosevelt, whose leadership during the Great Depression and World War II, as well as his founding of the March of Dimes campaign to combat polio, led to his image being chosen for the dime. The obverse of the 1978 D-dime was designed by John R. Sinek and features a left-facing portrait of Roosevelt, along with the inscriptions, "Liberty, In God We Trust," the date 1978, and the D mint mark to the right of the neck, indicating it was minted in Denver. The reverse features a torch in the center, symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch on the left, representing peace, and an oak branch on the right, symbolizing strength and independence. The inscriptions United States of America, E Pluribus Unum, and One Dime are also found on the reverse. The 1978 D Roosevelt dime is made from a copper nickel-clad composition, which became standard in 1965 when the U.S. Mint removed silver from circulating dimes. This clad structure includes an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core. It weighs approximately 2.27 grams and has a diameter of 17.91 millimeters with a reeded edge. Because it contains no silver or precious metals, its intrinsic value is low. In 1978, the Denver Mint produced a high number of these coins, approximately 390,354,000 dimes. Due to this massive mintage, the 1978 D-dime is extremely common in circulation. In circulated or no-fine condition, which generally means the coin has visible wear, soft details, and lacks mint luster, its value is typically only face value or 10 cents. Even in better circulated grades, the coin does not carry any significant premium because of its abundance.